Thank you for joining us for the entire day here at the Cybersecurity Summit. One of our final experts is Rick Basile. He is the Senior Vice President with Fortinet. Go ahead, Rick.
Hi, I'm Rick Basile with Fortinet. I am the Vice President of System Engineering and a member of our Office of the CTO. I think today what the main topic for us is going to be the latest to the bowl of acronym soup, as our marketing team like to put it, SASE. So SASE is, I think, one of the terms most used lately. I think 2019 was the year of AI, the most overused term. 2020 is probably SASE so far in my assessment. But the other thing with SASE is it tends to be a little misused. SASE, in my assessment, my experience, it's not a thing you can purchase with a SKU from a vendor. SASE, if you look at what Gartner's definition is, effectively it's a framework for digesting security technologies as the ever-emerging WAN and security parts of our worlds collide. SASE gives us a mechanism to digest technologies. So Secure Access Service Edge is not, again, a product you can just purchase from a vendor. There are vendors who position themselves as SASE vendors. And in my experience, again, they tend to have components of SASE, but again, they don't necessarily find themselves to be a single product or a single part number that is SASE. So, what do I mean by that for those who may not be familiar with the term? And I'm happy to interact with those who think I'm explaining it wrong. That's always the fun part of one of these presentations. But SASE, if you take a look at it, has kind of really some core components from Gartner. Things like being able to deliver some security as a service from a cloud standpoint, Firewall, Secure Web Gateway as a service, SD-WAN, so software-defined wide area network capabilities is one of the core components. Zero Trust Network Access, another component. Things like cloud access security brokers. If you take a look at some of the other components of SASE as a security framework and a way to digest technologies, things like sandboxing, browser isolation, API and WAF protections, those are all components of SASE. So when you talk about SASE, you're talking about a framework, you're talking about a mechanism to digest different technologies. Yes, most of the companies who say that they're a SASE company are delivering on a component or components of the SASE framework. But again, just to kind of level set what we're talking about today is going to be Fortinet's fabric and how Fortinet is delivering on the different components under this umbrella we know as SASE. So to kind of help understand where Fortinet's taking our position and where we see I'll call it the problem statement is we already had users connecting in multiple ways through multiple means, headless devices, IoT, BYOD, OT infrastructure, and even more so now in 2020 with who knows what comes next. But definitely the pandemic changing the way our workforces access network, access resources, how we interact with each other. The fact that I'm on a Zoom and not sitting in Philadelphia with you folks just speaks to the fact that the world continues to change and we need to be able to change with it and digest our technologies and our security along with that. So when you have users connecting either through on-net mechanisms, connecting to public and private cloud applications, delivering solutions off-net, all of these different components are being absorbed and digested by our customers. What we're realizing is essentially what we're doing is we're creating a million edges to protect in our enterprise. And what Fortinet believes is we need to be able to provide is a consistent security posture regardless of where your workload resides. Regardless of how you choose to consume security technologies, we need to provide you the mechanisms to do that and keep your workload secure and consistent regardless where that workload sits and regardless of how your users access that workload. So to help you guys manage risk, help you automate operations and response capabilities, we have an entire fabric of solutions that we refer to as the Fortinet Security Fabric, and it is an ecosystem of platform solutions. If you look at kind of the four main pillars of where we're delivering solutions in the Zero Trust Network Access space, with endpoint controls and NAC and identity mechanisms, security-driven networking, and for us, this is where SASE fits. Things like network firewalls and SD-WAN technologies, secure wireless and LAN access. But SASE also, while SASE is normally thought of as delivered from the cloud, again, Secure Web Gateway as a service or Firewall as a service, those are just components of SASE. And they're just components of how you want to digest the security stack, regardless of where it sits as you secure your compute. And again, we nestle this under our security-driven network pillar. The cloud pillar is more about things like applications in the cloud, securing the platform with where your applications reside, networking and connectivity in and out of the cloud with cloud on-ramp, and things like dealing with transit gateways and transit VPCs. That's cloud security, and understanding the underlying architecture there. And we deliver a whole host of solutions there also. And then again, security operations, dealing with things like automation and orchestration. If you can't automate the response to an attack and you need a human to respond, you're not responding in relevant time. Bringing all of that back through the Fabric Management Center to be able to provide consistent security, scalability, and AI-driven network operations and security. That is at a high level the Fortinet Security Fabric, and a major part of our value prop to our customers. But again, today's conversation is a little more focused on the Fortinet framework and the Fortinet SASE offering. So again, like I talked about, we look at SASE, the umbrella of SASE solutions in that framework as fitting more neatly into our security-driven networking components. And if you take a look at this, you're looking at our acquisition strategy. We're going to help you understand that part of what we're going to be talking about today had to do with an acquisition strategy. You won't find Fortinet making massive acquisitions to date, looking to acquire market share or customer base. We're an engineering-first company. You'll find us making integrations of solutions that are very technology forward-leaning, usually integrated already into the fabric, but also very much so technologies that can be integrated quickly and be able to deliver a consistent integrated solution to the market. It's one thing to have a broad product portfolio. It's another thing to have an integrated product portfolio. And our founders and our development teams feel strongly that we would rather come to market with a fully integrated solution than to come to market with something cool and a great data sheet and it doesn't work with the other components in the Fortinet fabric. So you're going to find us consistently making key technology acquisitions as we build the majority of our solutions organically in-house. And when we deliver a solution to market, we deliver an integrated solution to market. So as we kind of take a little step further and we see the acceleration of technologies and the network continue to converge when we're talking to our customers about, our carrier customers about 5G networks, our enterprise customers and our carrier customers and MSSPs with our SD-WAN solutions, looking at branch transformation with secure access technologies. Again, whether your workload sits in physical legacy infrastructure, a software-defined data center, name a public cloud infrastructure, we're going to help with the networking and the security solutions in all of those environments. And then bringing it back, if I'm putting solutions into software-defined data centers, physical legacy infrastructure, and public infrastructure, I need to provide a consistent framework for managing that, responding to security events, reporting and compliance across all of those different components. So we are delivering on that as part of our security-driven network strategy, and we will continue to build on that. So when you look at the baseline definition of SASE, and it has to do with that emerging and combining of the different WAN technologies and networking technologies with the security suite, one of the things I talked about earlier, and I'll continue to emphasize, is the ability to bring all of these advanced networking technologies, all of these advanced networking security technologies, and you digesting them as our customer and our partners, which way suits you best. If it's a physical legacy environment, we want the entire security stack sitting at the edge in a hardware accelerated appliance. We've been doing that for almost 20 years now, and we'll continue to do that. If you want it completely, you're completely moving to the cloud, and you want to digest all of your security stack from the cloud as a service, we support that also. But if you're the majority of our large enterprise customers and you're looking at a hybrid solution, we're going to lead the space there. And we support that today. So we'll continue to deliver in the legacy physical infrastructure, again, software-defined data center, public infrastructure. And again, regardless of where your workload sits or how you want to secure it, you're going to digest that the way you need to. It's best for your business. And we'll make sure that we have the mechanisms to support that and manage it scalably. So if you start just looking at some of the use cases that Fortinet's been in for a long time, I think it's fair to say, strap the test equipment on. We've been the fastest, lowest latency firewall in the space for a very long time. We continue to accelerate that. For those who haven't seen our recent announcements on our 7th generation of our network processors, we're addressing markets that just other vendors can't even have a conversation around. Things like hyperscale data center environments, carrier grade NAT, elephant flows, also through the firewall and through IPsec VPN, be able to have these conversations where 100 gig isn't just a handoff. 100 gig is performance expectations on a per interface basis. The SD-WAN, the NGFW, SSL inspections, secure SD branch. We've been delivering on this for quite some time. The API first thought process we have to be able to build our orchestration and our ecosystem to automate all of our solutions as they work together. And then this last component, which is not only be able to deliver through all of these virtual VM, software-defined data center, public infrastructure, but now as a service with our SASE, with our latest acquisition. And I should have mentioned earlier, the last acquisition, kind of rounds out our solution set for us. Opaque is the cornerstone of what we refer to as FortiSASE, which will be, again, a suite of offerings. And if you look at Fortinet, we've, for a very long time, had a very robust solution set. But the Opaque acquisition, now FortiSASE, plugs that last piece of the puzzle in for us to be able to deliver on a whole host of solutions, again, under this umbrella known as SASE. The Opaque acquisition brought with it a good R&D team, a really solid R&D team, some patented technology, and the automation and orchestration capabilities and the data center infrastructure to be able to deliver on these service offerings as a service. So just to kind of give you, again, I do work for a vendor, and if we don't compare ourselves to each other, I think we get kicked out of the club or something along those lines. So here's the one slide where I will let you look at how we can compare against those others in the space and some of these folks refer to themselves as a SASE provider. But again, if you go back to the core optional and recommended components, as Gartner defines them, we have the most robust SASE solution in the market now as we deliver with the Opaque component, rounding out some of the as-a-service offerings that we weren't quite ready yet to market, but now we are. So everything from zero-touch network access, again, SD-WAN, traditional firewall and secure web gateway services, firewall and secure web gateway services in our cloud infrastructure, the CASB, cloud workload protection, sandboxing, browser, WAF. You guys are reading the same slide I am. But again, we have components in all of those key aspects. And again, understand from Fortinet, based on our fabric, all of those components are integrated to work together and provide you a scalable, manageable, responsive environment to support your global infrastructure and your security infrastructure. So again, understanding, doesn't matter if it's an OT device or an IoT device, on-net managed devices, off-net managed devices, off-net on-managed devices, no matter who's connecting to your network, how they're connecting, be able to provide that zero trust network access layer, make sure that only those connecting to your network that you want to connect to your network are connecting, and only where they are allowed to go is where they're able to get. However you want to digest that security service, whether it's in bringing everything back to the data center, and aggregating it there from a security standpoint, if it's physical SD-WAN technologies, if you want thin edge or thick edge, if you want everything completely delivered from the cloud, we provide this for our customers. Again, it's what's right for you that we need to deliver. And then again, it's no longer choosing a lesser security posture just because it's a different deployment model. It's the same security posture, it's the same suite of services, it's just a matter of how you choose to digest those services. So as you take a look at some of the initial offerings that are going to be coming as part of the Opaque acquisition, if you will, our FortiSASE offerings, they're really going to be grouped into three main components initially. So we've got the secure edge access capabilities and two zero trust access capabilities. And I'll touch on those here, each individually here, just to give you a little look at what we're talking about. So from the secure edge access, if you will, firewall as a service, the ability that you can choose to have a thin edge, provide the WAN connectivity or the SD-WAN capabilities, provide maybe just firewall or say IPS capabilities to protect the edge, the inbound connections, attempt connections at that location, whether that be corporate headquarters, a data center edge, or again, branch offices, and then be able to provide the rest of the security stack, that egress or the outbound internet-facing traffic, provide that security stack from the cloud, from the Fortinet's cloud infrastructure. Just give you a little quick picture, what we're talking about. Again, access however you want and to deliver the security stack from the cloud. That needs to be provided through a consistent console, being able to provide policy regardless of where your users are accessing or how they're accessing. And again, that'll be the FortiSASE Secure Edge, Secure Connect component. Two other components of this. This one I think is what most people think of when they look at, I'll call it Secure Web Gateway as a service, agents on devices, making sure that they have an always secured connection to the wrapper around the internet, if you will, to use some terminology that you may be comfortable with, and the ability to provide that security stack regardless of where that user is, whether he's sitting behind the corporate firewall or he's sitting in Starbucks having that latte, socially distancing as responsible as possible these days. That is all capable through our zero trust access capability, allowing that always on functionality for your remote users. What we have been getting a lot of a demand for, and the third use case that we're going to be delivering, again, just to help you take a look at that, is the ability to define that software-defined perimeter. And while we're still looking at the ability to provide a security stack from the cloud, the ZTA Protect, and that again, that's for those users heading out to the internet and make sure they get that security stack applied to their devices, and that they're protected from themselves as they hit the internet and from the bad guys on the internet. We also are going to be able to define that software-defined perimeter inside the network. So if you have users sitting in the same remote office, and policy doesn't allow user A on a handheld device to talk to user B on his remote device, we can actually apply policy inside the network also. So with micro-segmentation capability that we're delivering, this is where user A needs to make sure he's got permission to speak to user B. And in kind, user B needs to understand, am I allowed to accept that connection from user A? And that is the type of protections we're going to provide with this service. Also, the ability to say provide multi-factor authentication for applications and protocols that don't support that natively. We'll be able to provide that through this service also. So again, the Zero Trust Access Control is a micro-segmentation capability delivered through the FortiSASE agent on your devices. Again, providing a consistent security policy and posture across the network. So regardless of whether it's user to user, user to internet, or site to site, we're going to be able to provide those same suite of security services to our customers, depending on how they want to digest those technologies. So I'll just kind of wrap up with the last major two slides. Again, regardless of how your users are accessing the network, we're going to be able to create a software-defined perimeter, deliver the entire security stack from our data centers now. And again, whether that be those users accessing infrastructure in your enterprise, in the public cloud, or delivering software as a service, that entire security stack being delivered consistently across the Fortinet fabric. So with that, I hope I have helped demystify some of what we're trying to offer and what the industry is referring to when it talks about SASE. And if there's any questions, always happy to take those inbound. I'm easy to hit at rick@fortinet.com, but I suggest I'm not the most scalable human. Definitely hit fortinet.com. We're going to continue to post information about our SASE offerings and the fabric as a whole. So with that, I appreciate your time. I'll give you a few minutes back in your day. And again, I'll be around. So thank you very much and have a nice day.